The Structure, Scale, and Profit Cleaning Business Academy is the best investment that I made in my business. I truly feel that when it comes to being a business owner, anyone can start a business, but it's not easy to maintain that business. If you do not have structures in place, it will fall. Shannon Miller is a godsend. My business nearly ran itself, well, I nearly ran my business into the ground due to not knowing a lot of things. And thank God for Shannon because she was able to pull me out of the hole. And we are back on the road to recovery. And I couldn't be more excited. I'm so happy to be heading in the direction that we are. Thank you, Shannon.
Recording in progress. Welcome, everyone. I'm joined with Miss Jamie, who I haven't seen in like a very long time.
Man,
For those of you who
really?
don't know, we film like several sessions in one day. So I just literally saw her a half hour ago. Today we're going to talk about, should influencers get free cleanings in exchange for some sort of reciprocity? Jamie, give me your thoughts.
No, I think that there needs to be some clear boundaries. I don't think they should get free cleanings.
I don't think influencers should get anything for free. They get a lot of product for free from large corporations. They
Right.
get a lot of meals for free from larger corporation franchises. I've seen good and bad with it. But as far as like getting free cleanings, and I'll give you a shout out, really isn't worth the ROI that you're going to get out of it, because you really don't know if this influencer is going to be your demographic. It could just be, I'm an influencer because I like sunglasses, or I'm an influencer because I do that special dance, or I'm an influencer because I like Disneyland, right? It's just
Right. No, I have to agree with you. And um you're talking about like the influencer going into somebody's home.
Hey, what's going on, Shannon? My name is Mike. This is my brother Steve, and we own S&M Cleaning Solutions. And we just want to tell you thank you from the bottom of our hearts. The 30-day sprint was amazing, and you really helped out our company a lot. Thank you.
Mhm.
And saying, hey, if I get to record here, it'll be for free.
No, I'm talking
Or
about an influencer lives in your service area, calls you up and says, "I need to have a deep cleaning. I am so and so. I wondering to know. I want to know if you're going to want to trade." Me giving you a shout out to my 600,000 followers, and you give me a free deep cleaning. You have to decide whether that's going to be worth it to you or not. In my opinion, I don't. I think that there should be some sort of money exchange where they pay for part of it, so maybe you give them the wholesale price of cleaning if if you want to do it. You don't have to do anything.
right, and I agree with you totally. And I know quite a few influencers. Um, there's the crazy cleaning lady, 2022 or something like that. Her name's Samantha. Uh, there
Samantha
is
Manchuko, right?
yeah,
I'm
I
probably
yeah,
butchering her
just
last.
love her.
Samantha, I'm
And
sorry.
I just yeah, we probably butchered your name, but um, Amber.
Mhm.
She does a lot of e-cloth things. And Nicole with Cast Out Cleaners, who's the creator, inventor of the 5-in-1 cleaner that
Right.
we now use in our
So,
company.
hypothetically speaking, if one of these guys lived in your service area and called you up and said, "I have X amount of followers, I'm interested in doing a trade, you give me a deep cleaning and I'll give you a shout out," do you think that's worth it?
No,
I
no,
don't.
I still believe that there needs to be some sort of money it's yeah, no. I don't agree with that. I think that I don't even know that I'm not really well versed with influencers. However, I mean, friend wise, yes. But whenever it comes to their business, I know um, they're still bidding on these jobs. I know that they are, they're still bidding on their jobs and making them sign waivers about, they have their clear boundaries set up.
Right.
Like, But the people that I've listed, I know that they're still charging.
Right.
So I would think that would be weird. I don't know. I just think that would be weird to do to say, hey, I'm this big influencer in the cleaning business, and today's your lucky day if you let me.
If I let you in my house to clean up my dirt, I might give you a shout out. So
Yeah,
let's look at this a little further. What about if the influencer was a sports figure or someone prominent like a movie star and or another type of athlete? How would you feel about them asking you for a free cleaning? Because that's a different type of influencer.
right. No, I still, it just kind of falls back
Mm-hmm.
to, this is the way I would think of it as, a lot of realtors will,
Mm-hmm.
you think, oh, they're gonna bring in a lot more money for me because, uh, you know, I'm gonna
They're the
use
first.
you. Yeah, and it never really works out like that. Yeah, sure, my name, my business name gets tossed around a lot with the realtors because, um, but no, there's got to be some sort of transactional
Right.
something. And again, there still would have to be some sort of contract dialed
Right.
up, and even if it's specific to that particular client, something needs to be, drawn up on that as
Oh,
far
definitely. Um,
as far as contracts. Yeah.
anytime you trade with anybody, it should not be verbal, because if you leave it open-ended, then you end up getting the short end of the stick all the time. And sometimes, and you and I were talking about before we got on the show how I did some community outreach, which we're not going to discuss here. We can discuss on another show, but it's sometimes those things have to happen. So I took a risk on this individual. Hopefully he'll give me back some of that reciprocity, and it will be a good thing, right? He ended up winning in the end because it was way more sanitary than than when I first got it. But so as far as like a sports figure, an actor, actress, any other in prominent person that we hold in high regard. I don't hold any of those people in high regard, but you other people might. Um, as far as doing that, I think it's pretty ballsy to ask another business, hey, can I get something for free because I'm this influencer and I have this huge audience and I think that you would benefit from it. So if you do um want to do this because you are totally want to do this for this person because you think it's going to be a good fit, then there should be some key factors to consider before offering your free services. You could actually do a marketing campaign where you're reaching out to influencers in your area, but then it's a gray area because we know home addresses and then it could be considered stalking. So don't go down that road, but make sure that you're offering, like, I would not offer a deep cleaning to an influencer. I would just give them regular maintenance
Right.
with the
Right.
stipulation that they gave you a credit card, a secure, and that they paid a small wholesale price for something. I wouldn't give it to them entirely free. And then I would bullet point what you're going to get out of it. If you don't bullet point, it leaves too much to chance. And the influencers got their house clean. They're not going to think about you twice. They're going to go on to the next shiny object. And I'm not saying they're all that way, but it sometimes can be that way. And then watching out for red flags in these arrangements. So if you are getting, if you've done one thing, because usually it's the cleaning business owner who has to do it first before we're the one taking the chance. And if they say they're going to do it by a certain deadline, because yeah, you would have to have a date, and they don't do it, you can call them out, but then it becomes this whole thing on social media. But I certainly would never do business with them again. They'd be 86 for life. Um, and then having clear boundaries and expectations. So a lot of times when people are not familiar with the cleaning industry, and we've all had this happen, is showing up. Well, you're on the schedule to show up. You show up and there's no access to the building. Oh yeah, I went to France. nobody's home, right? You're
Right.
like, dude, we traded. You know, my crew's standing at your door. There's no one to let us in. Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm on the French Riviera. I gotta
Yeah.
go. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, it sucked. So make sure that
No.
you're clear about what your policies and procedures are. They still are treated like a customer because you need to hold them accountable should they muff it up, right?
Right.
Sometimes I've traded in the past, and then the cleaning tech, they would cancel at the last minute, and I'm like, dude, I still have to pay the cleaning tech. And they're like, oh, I didn't think of that. Like, what the person paid the babysitter, right?
Yeah.
Got her car loaded up, drove her car over your house, and now you're saying you want to cancel. That's not good.
Yeah, because we're still paying. Yeah.
Right, because we still have to pay.
Right.
So make sure that if you are gonna go down that road, that you are gonna benefit to some degree, and it has to be tangible. It's not the I'm gonna give you a shout out. Oh, thanks, Michelle, for cleaning
Right.
my house. It was so great. They didn't name what your business name was. They didn't give your last name. They gave no link. They didn't get a photo. It just
Yeah,
was a
they
whole
need
thing.
to, make sure that you're asking for maybe reviews, uh shout outs, tags on social media, because let's face it, social media is just obviously we're talking about influencers.
Right.
It's huge influence,
And I'm
right?
looking at the notes, and there's actually a thing called influencer marketing. Did you know that?
No, but I can see how that is. No, but that's a new name to it. That these new names that they're coming out with all of,
Oh,
just
influencer
trying to,
marketing. That would be an interesting topic to have a guest on to see how that worked. I'd be really interested.
I
If
would
you know
love,
someone who does that, come to Shannon and Jamie.
please, because I would love to, and I do see some of these influencers in the cleaning business that are they got so many followers, and then after that you hit a certain point, you start making money from the social media, and they'll actually show what their earnings are from,
Some of them will share.
and they're so thankful and grateful. But yeah, so I could see how that's influencer marketing, and I guess that's just another marketing tool, because
I had no idea it was an actual labeled thing.
I didn't know either.
Like,
That's there's
what is that?
exactly.
Huh.
Don't
And then, most importantly, these are things that you need to ask yourself. Does this influencer align with my brand values and my target audience? There really is no point. If your person is an influencer for the rock band AC/DC, that probably is not going to be your demographic, because AC/DC lives in Europe most of the year.
right.
They're
Right.
they're older. Yes, they probably have house cleaning, but it might be different because they own several homes, right? So
Yeah.
you make sure, and that was just something they just pulled out of my butt. But it's just, making sure that they align with your brand and your target audience. Sorry, my dog's whining. Um, and looking beyond the follower count, like, what are you going to get out of it? Are you going to get mentioned in a shout out? Do they have an email list? Like, a big thing with me is I have 5,000 subscribers on my email list. It took a while to get there, but I have something to offer now, where before I never had 5,000 people, but it took a while to build that up. I didn't pay for my list.
Right.
People
And I would
willingly came
love
over and signed up.
to talk about that on another show, Shannon. Is a great idea to talk about email lists and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Email list. We'll put that as a note.
Yeah.
There's
That's a
always
good
a
one.
pin that doesn't work, right? I'm gonna toss that pin out of the way. And then write a written agreement outlining expectations of both parties. So it has to be a sort of contract, because it is a business transaction, so that you're not getting the short end of the stick.
Right.
Unless you're going to do community outreach, which is another topic that we can talk about on another day. With that, so having an agreement in place keeps it all legit, and there should be a default clause where if they don't follow through with their end, that you can bill them full cleaning charges So
Right.
it's a transaction. It's a business transaction. So if they
Yeah, like if
or
you,
whatever happens and they just decide that they're going to just stick it to you, there's a clause in your contract that says if you do not follow, if you are unable to, what is it called? I can't think of the Latin name. If you're unable to fulfill your end of the bargain because we've already done the cleaning, then we
right,
will bill you for the full
full,
cleaning at
full
whatever the
amount.
dollar amount is, and put that dollar amount in your contract so they know what the value of the perceived value is supposed to be, not just this, hey, it's me, Shannon, on my Instagram, look folks, I got this one
Yeah.
cleaner, and oh yeah, they don't mention the name or anything else, but
Yeah.
so make sure that you're getting what you agreed upon. um and then measure any ROI. So you're actually creating some sort of partnership with them. No, is this person going to recognize you in the grocery store? Probably not. If you went to a large event, you're probably not going to see, recognize their face, but there has to be some sort of tangible ROI. So you would have to decide what that is to determine its true value.
Yeah, your ROI for some of those that don't know still that are just now starting out is your return on investment. So if
Right.
you're investing in this, then you want to make sure that you're getting something in return. So
Right.
whether it's marketing, whether it's there's a lot of avenues you could go down with that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you know someone who does influencer marketing full time and does the exchanges, I'd be really interested in picking your brain and getting you on as a guest for the podcast. There's a lot to marketing. It's like it's a college degree. Every time there's something new to learn, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just barely learned this.
I feel like it's almost like you're trying to do a pull up and you don't know how.
Right.
For those that don't know how to do a pull up, which is me, and you're trying to do a pull up and you can't quite get over your chin up over the bar. Um, yeah, it's trying to stay one step ahead, and it's a lot to take in and digest because so much is constantly being thrown at us to learn, and marketing is they're coming out with something new all the time. I mean, look, you just taught us a new word, influencer marketing.
Right.
I just I
And
didn't know there was a label on that.
I had no idea until I read it. I was like, oh, influencer
That's
marketing.
super interesting.
Since we're here talking about influencer, let's talk about the ugly side of what potentially you're getting yourself into. So I like to do the pros and the cons. So in 2020, let me get this off of here. When everybody was stuck at home, get that off. I don't want to report. Okay, there we go. There was a lot of things going on. Everyone started to have to operate out of home. A lot of new things came online. Zoom became a huge thing, like what we're doing now. And then it became this entitlement thing again. It keeps coming and resurfacing. And sometimes influencers would over gauge what their value was. So they would show up to a restaurant with like 52 people and go, I want a free tab for me and my 52 people. I'm like, what restaurant who's barely scraping by is going to be able to afford to pay for 52 people's meals
Especially in that industry at that time. That I
at that
mean,
time?
but
Even now, it would be really
even now, it just yeah. Again, it's I feel like it's a sense of entitlement. And that's not just in this nation. It's across the world, but more so in in America. I just maybe my eyes are blinded to what's going on outside of here, but it's just the level of yeah, the level of entitlement is just astronomical.
that. And then there's also the influencer movement that is happening inside of the short-term rental market. And I'm inside a lot of those groups. I like to keep my pulse on everything. And there's this weird, unrealistic expectation, especially like those of you who are on a shore or by a lake or have a themed short-term rental. There is this whole dominance where they reach out through the app and say, hey, I'd like to film something here and you know, can I get a discount because I'm going to be filming there and we
That's
really
super
won't be
free.
using the property, but we still want a discount, blah, blah, blah. And I, by the way, I have 1 million followers or whatever. I've seen a lot of that too. So make sure that when you're picking your influencer, air quotes, for those of you who are not watching,
Right.
that you're picking someone who does really resound with your core values and your brand, not someone who does not. There are a lot of people that I probably would not affiliate myself with only because we don't have the same value system. And life is too short to run around and try to promote something that you have no value in.
It really is. It
I'm all
really
about
is.
integrity and being kind and teaching others to uplift themselves. And not everyone sees the house cleaning industry like that. And you can start to see it starting to move along, which gets me excited. It makes me like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here, right?
I, me too.
But I
Me
see it a
too.
lot in the short-term rental market where so and so has some followings and then they call up, they reach out through the app and they say, hey, can I have my wedding here? I know you're charging $20,000 a night, but I only have $3,000. Would you take it out of the consideration of your good heart? And I promise we won't leave the place a mess.
Yes,
Right.
no,
Just, you know, wow. You're asking for a $17,000 discount, blah, 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 blah. It's just like this whole weird dynamic of,
and that many people,
right, that's a lot of people, right? If you're having
a
a
lot
wedding
of bodies.
or a function, or I know people use short-term rentals for other things in other industries, which we will not touch here.
Yes, yeah, no, and again, I'm sure just as in the cleaning industries, there's more than likely, we could say that those are influencers, you
Right.
know? And just
Gonna
because
turn red.
you're just because you're that person, uh, and you, like Shannon says, you graced us with your presence and get to stay on my property. Where do I sign up at? Reconsider, think, do they align with what you want to be known as? Or and how is this gonna how would this help with your ROI any? And
Right.
aligning with everything's got to really align, like you said.
Hey everybody, Shannon Miller here from Clean Freaks University. I am talking to all my fellow cleaning business owners. Earn your way to your first 100K within your first year by using the methods that I teach inside of the Pricing Blueprint Masterclass. It covers regular maintenance cleanings, top to bottom deluxe cleanings, and move out cleanings. See you there.
Definitely. So
Right.
those are the only influencers I can think of. There's the direct influencers in our own industry, and then there's sports people, newscasters, actors, actresses, I guess dignitaries, political people. I mean, those would all be considered influencers in a way. Politicians
Well,
get in the gray area.
yeah. Well, honestly, now that I'm thinking of it, there's also a lot of influencers, um, in the real estate market. You know, they whenever we got shut down in 2020, a lot of people had to pivot and had to think outside the box. And this is where all this started coming in. And it's so, a lot of it's great, but a lot of it is also, again, I just, the human, interaction. I don't know. That's what it's just whenever you seen it just really explode. Um, and here we are today with again, I'm gonna say it again, influencer marketing. Marketers.
I'm gonna put a
Marketers.
post on Facebook to see if anybody actually does it. But
And
I'm sure there's more than one, and then I mean, brands themselves would
a
have
hashtag.
influencer, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
look for the
I would
hashtag.
imagine brands would have some sort of influencer marketing already set up. So there's a brand influencer, and then there's individual influencers, and then I guess there would be team influencers. Um, and you're right, the real estate industry changed a lot, and here in Arizona, I believe it was partway through last year in 2023 where they were talking about how you had to sign a contract before you could work with a client, because what was happening, and this is not influencer related, it's off topic, that customers would come and then they would drive around with this one real estate agent, and then the real estate agent would spend 8 hours with them, and then they would go back to their friend who wasn't available to do the drive-through or whatever, and then sign up and buy from them. And I'm like, well, that's not fair. It's,
Yeah, like what is that?
but it's just,
Oh,
people try to, in
yeah.
every facet of our society, it's normal to try to get the best deal for the lowest price, but it gets to the point where you're taking advantage and it's wrong. So, again, and we reiterate a lot there, make sure that whatever you pick or whomever you pick aligns with your core values and your brand. There are several brands I've reached out to be guests on the podcast that I would love to have on. We'll see if they respond or not. And then there's other cleaning business owners I've reached out to because I like what their business model represents. I think it would be great for them to come on the podcast and talk
Yeah.
about their business model, because there's so much to cleaning. I mean, there's one individual who only does monthly cleanings. That's all she does. I have another individual
Interesting.
who only does weeklies. That's all she takes on. I have another one who wants to get into just move out cleanings. There's all of this dynamic that goes on that I think it would be beneficial to the industry as a whole. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, absolutely. And like I say it almost every podcast, whenever it comes to this stuff, I'm a geek. I just uh it brings so much joy in my heart. I could sit here and talk literally all day long about it. I know we only do this once a week and but I really and thoroughly have always enjoyed talking about it. It's what excites me. So I'm excited to talk to anybody. Reach out to us, especially that if you're in the industry. Um, there's people that are, I would love to talk to some of the people that are just commercial only,
Mhm.
or floors and restoration. There's so many different entities of just cleaning. And yeah, I'm a geek over this stuff.
That's really cool. I love it. I love it. Well, that's all we have to say about whether you should trade with an influencer or not, and make sure that that's person or who what or hopefully it's a person and not a product. It's really hard to have multiple masters. I will give you an example, and I love this person still to this day, but we have a magazine here called The Prescott Dog. Um, she had a really awful thing happen to her dog, whom she loved, like I loved my Maxie Poo. And she did not want to have the magazine be a full-time thing like she had had before. So she sold the magazine to another individual. Well, this other individual lived in a different town. So this person lived in my town and the new individual lived in a different town. So the two of them came together and didn't want to lose my cleaning company because we traded. Right? It was a little bit of trade, a little bit of cash. And so they wanted me to still trade and do cash, but they wanted me to have two masters. So it was biweekly. So one cleaning here and then one cleaning here. And I'm like, it's not adding up. And no one wanted to pay the
Math ain't mathin'.
right. The math ain't mathin'. And it just became this whole, so I gracefully said, okay, well, where are we at in our contract cycle? And it looks to me that I owe you, I think it was 3 more cleanings. So I'll give you 3 more cleanings. And the new person was still trying to get us to go over to her house, which was 45 minutes in each direction. And she was miffed over the fact that she didn't get to have the cleaning that she had paid for. I'm like, my business wasn't with you. It was with
Yeah.
other person. So
Yeah.
and that was a while ago, and I bowed out as gracefully as I could. I still love this person to this day. I love her daughter. I've known her daughter a long time. I don't know the new person. I love you too, but it's just that was the deal I had, right? I did
Yeah,
not
no,
change the
it
deal
just
after.
it's kind of weird sometimes what people are. Again, there goes that entitlement. Um,
This was a while ago.
yeah, that's that. I mean, it just baffling sometimes. Why would they think that it was okay? Like,
Well,
I buy I buy this. That's where, you know, your clear boundaries and understanding and everything has to be defined.
Right.
That's a great example.
And there were not only was it two separate locations, the cleaning was more. So, you know, the first person in their home was smaller, and then the second person in their home was like 4,500 square feet. I'm like, there's not going to
And
be,
further away.
and further away. So I'm like, no, it's not going to work out. But she actually tried to lowball it and get it for even cheaper. And she lived on a dirt road, so you had to go back a whole mile and a half on a dirt road that you cannot go fast down, because we all know that doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, there's all that dust.
Right. So it's just this weird, it wasn't a good fit. So
Yeah.
I think that's what you should do. Make sure that they stick with your brand and they resonate with your values. And if you have done a trade with an influencer, we'd love to chat with you to see how it went and what you traded and how it worked out. And if you're continuing, if they became a regular customer, or if it was just strictly a
So
trade.
many questions. Yeah, so many questions.
Definitely.
Right. And that's
Well, this concludes our episode on should influencers get free cleaning in exchange for some reciprocity? If you guys have any questions about this, please reach out. We look forward to seeing you guys. Take care.